We're going to make this beautiful flower blanket. This is using the popcorn flower, so I'm going to be showing you how to make these beautiful flowers and how to attach them. All right, so the hook size that you're going to need for this project is a 6mm hook. It's a J10 6mm, but you can use whatever hook goes with your yarn. So on the back of your yarn label, you can just check and see the weight of the yarn. So this is a 4 medium weight yarn. And this one is recommending the hook size that we use is a 5.5, but I'm using a 6. Again, you can use whatever hook size that you want to. You're also going to need a darning needle to weave in the ends, and you're going to need a pair of scissors in this project. All right, so you're going to take your yarn, and the first thing we're going to do is a slip knot. So for those of you who are beginners, just make a circle around your finger like that, and then put the yarn underneath the circle and pull through. Just pinch it with your fingers and pull it through that circle and tighten it up just a little bit. You always want your crochet to be loose and not too tight. So we're going to insert our hook into that slip knot. Again, don't make it too tight. Don't pull it too tight. Leave it like nice and loose. We're going to chain 2. So we have 2 chains, and we're going to be inserting these stitches into the very first chain that we did right here. So insert your hook and do 8 single crochets into that first chain. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up your hook. You should have 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through both loops. So that's a single crochet. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull it up, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So we're going to continue this working over our end. So make sure you have your end there and you're putting it right underneath. So you're going underneath, you're covering your end as you go, and then we're going to sew it in at the end also to give it some extra strength. So you keep on doing that until you have 8 V's to count. So let's see where we are because I've lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 2 more. 7. 8. All right, and I always double check. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So make sure you have 8 single crochets in your circle. You're going to insert your hook right underneath the very first stitch. So you've got your 2 V's right here. You got your 1 V for your 2 parts of your V for your stitch. So you put it underneath and you're going to do a slip stitch. So you yarn, hook your yarn and pull it right underneath that stitch. And then you're also going to pull it through the loop on your hook. That's a slip stitch. And then you're going to tighten your circle by pulling on your end. And then we're going to chain up 3, so do 3 chains. And then you're going to put 4 more double crochets in that same exact stitch. So that's 1. So you're going to yarn under, and you're putting your hook in the same exact stitch, yarn under. So when you pull it up, you can have 3 loops, yarn under, pull up, you can have 2, hook your yarn and pull through 2 again. So you're going to continue that 4 times until you have 4 double crochets along with your chain 3 will count as 1, so there'll be 5 altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so you're going to leave this, pull this part of the loop up a little bit so it's like that. And you're going to insert your hook at the very top. So you're going to count 3 chains up. 1, 2, 3. You're going to insert your hook right there in the top of that chain 3 space. So you insert your hook there. And you're going to go from the back and you're just going to hook that loop and pull it through that first chain 3 space that you inserted your hook into. And that's making a cluster. So you sort of pull it tight in the back. And then you're going to do 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do, that's our first petal. We're going to do 7 more petals. So each petal is going to go into each one of these spaces with our single crochet spaces. So in the very next stitch, which is a single crochet stitch right here, the very next stitch, we're going to put 5 more double crochets right into there. Yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through. You can have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's a double crochet. So that was 1, and we're going to do 4 more. All right, so I always count to make sure 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to do 1 more. All right, so always double check and count to make sure you have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. And on that last one, you're going to leave your loop loose like that. You're going to insert your hook underneath that V. So you're picking up your front part of that V and the back part of the V. And you're going to grab that hook from behind and pull it through that top of the first double crochet in that cluster and just tighten it. And I like to just push my finger in there so it just puffs it up towards the front. But that's what it looks like. And then you're going to do 3 chains. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to do 5 more double crochets in the very next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I'm going to double check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and leave this loose. You're going to insert your hook into the top stitch of the first double crochet that you made. You're going to grab that loop and bring it through. Push forward with your fingers and then just tighten it up from the back. Chain 3. 5 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Leave this one loose. Insert your hook in the very top of that first double crochet. Make sure you're getting that entire V. And then you're just putting that loop on your hook and pulling it through. Tighten it up. Chain 3. Five more double crochets into the next stitch. Always on that fifth one, make sure you leave that loop loose. Count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert in the top of the very first double crochet. Make sure you're getting your first front loop and back loop of that stitch. Hook that loop and pull it through. And I push with my finger to make sure that puff comes to the front. Tighten the back. Chain 3. 5 double crochets in the next space. Count to make sure you have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Leave the last one loose. Insert your hook into the top of the first double crochet. Hook that yarn loop, bring it through. I push forward with my finger, tighten the back, chain 3. Now we're going to go into the next space. Again, 5 double crochets. Okay, count, make sure you have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to insert your hook here on the top of that very first double crochet. Hook the loop from the last one and pull it through. Pushing with my finger, front, pull it tight, chain 3. All right, now let's count our petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we need one more. So 5 more double crochets into the very next stitch. Leave that last one loops loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to insert our hook here. Grab that loop and pull it through. Tighten it up in the back, and you're going to chain 3. All right, so we should have 8 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and now we're going to do a slip stitch. We're going to catch this loop that's behind here in this flower. So if you just turn the flower towards you, you're going to find some stitches back here that you can just loop underneath. So we're going to go underneath and just slip stitch. So you're yarning over, pulling through, actually we're doing a single crochet, I guess it is. So we're gonna loop and pull through. So a single crochet back there, just to secure it. And then you're going to chain one and you're going to pull, and I like to leave a pretty good chain, a pretty good tail, because we're going to be sewing in, and then you can just pull your yarn through. So that chain one just made that knot there, and then just pull it through. So you've got a pretty nice tail here. And that's what our popcorn flower should look like. So that's the front. It's got 8 petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when we turn it over, it looks like this. So what we're going to do is just sew in the end, weave in our end that we have from our center. So just put your yarn onto your darning needle. And I like to go in the back of where I just came from. So I ended where the yarn is going like this. So I'm going to go over that stitch and go behind it. And I go in 2 or 3 stitches, pull through, and you're not going all the way through so it does not show from the front. And then I'm going to skip a stitch and then go the opposite way. Again, you're only going on the top of these. You're not going all the way through. Then I'm going to skip a stitch and go back the other way and go farther down. So we've gone back and forth 3 times. So that's nice and secure. So we can just trim off that end. So now I'm going to show you how to attach, and I've made a ton of these. I've made all these flowers, so I like to do them in batches. So I'll make a ton of flowers and then I will attach them. So let me show you how to attach them. All right, so we have our blanket that we're working on here. So I've been attaching these going across. So now I have some spots where I need another flower to go here. So if you look at this, here's a flower here, and then here's a flower up here, and then here's a flower here, and then here's a flower here, and then here's a flower here. So our next one is not going to go over this one, it's going to go here, and we're going to attach this one to it. So let me see what color I'm going to attach. How about this one? So I'm going to grab this yellow flower, and we're going to attach it right here. So what we're going to do is work from the back. So I turn my work. And this is easier to sort of do on your lap, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So let me weave in the end first to this little flower that I've made beforehand. So we're only sort of weaving in the center. So if you totally cover it with your crocheting over it, then you won't have to do this, but I like to make sure that they're extra secure. So I always leave mine a little bit long so I can just go back and do that 3-pass weave to make sure it's nice and secure. So once we have our end nice and secure, we can just cut off the extra for that center. All right, and then we're leaving the other end nice and long, because we're going to be attaching this in 4 different spots. All right, so you're going to attach your long tail to your darning needle. So put your yarn in your darning needle. All right, so this is where it is going. So I want to make sure that I don't add the flower over directly over another flower. It's going to go in the next spot. So we're working on the wrong side, so it's flipped over. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my darning needle and see where this petal is right here, and our yarn ends here, right underneath our petal. I'm going to insert my hook right into that petal so that it comes out right where that petal is, and that's where I'm going to be attaching here. So I'm going to grab this petal and I'm going to just attach it right to the tip of that flower. And I'm just going to make a couple passes into there. And we're just working in the tip of the flower. And I just sort of check underneath to make sure it looks nice. So I just pass it through twice. And then what I'm going to be doing is grabbing the flower that is underneath, in between these two flowers, and I'm going to go right underneath where I just connected, and I'm going to grab the tip of that flower that is directly underneath. And I'm not going to make it too tight. I'm not going to make it too loose, but I'm not going to make it too tight. And I'm going to go in there a couple times. So we've connected this flower and this flower and this flower together in that one space by connecting these 3 petals together. And then I'm going to insert my darning needle underneath where I just connected that to, and I'm going to go into that petal again to bring my yarn out into this yellow flower that we're working on. And so I'm coming right in through that petal. And then now we're going to connect these 2 petals together. So it's the very next 2 petals. So I'm inserting my hook into that petal, and then I'm connecting it with this petal right on the tip of that flower. And I'm just going to make a couple passes here, connecting the tips of these 2 flowers together. And I just turn it over to make sure everything looks nice. Just connect it a couple times. And then I'm going to insert my hook again and pull it back through the petal. Now I'm going to be connecting the next petal in line. I'm going to be connecting it here where I've already connected these on a prior row. So I'm going to insert my hook, my darning needle inside the next petal, come out the tip of the petal, and I'm going to connect it right here where I've already connected the row before. Again, I'm just going to loop it a couple times. That's why we want to leave a nice tail. You don't want to do it too tight or too loose. And then I'm going to insert my darning needle into that petal again. And then I'm going to the very next petal and I'm connecting it. I'm inserting my darning needle coming out the tip of the petal, and I'm going to connect it to the very next petal from the row before. So just connect this a couple times. And then insert the hook into that petal, bring it out here again. So now we should have enough yarn on our hook to weave in these ends. All right, so I like to just put it in and make a little simple knot there. And then I like to go underneath where I've done all those double crochets and just push it through, bring it out, and then I skip a stitch and then I insert it again and go the other way. So I go back and forth 3 times at least, always skipping a stitch on the end. I'm going to do it one more time since I have the extra yarn, skipping a stitch and going in. So this is nice and secure. You don't want your blanket falling apart. And then we're going to cut our yarn. And that's how it looks. So it's attached in 4 different spots, here, 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 and here. And we're just going to continue to do this all the way across. So let me make another flower. Well, I guess I don't have to make another flower because I have so many flowers here. So here's another flower. So I'll attach another one. So I'm just going to weave in the end of this flower that I have. So we're just weaving in that center spot. Oops. And when you're weaving in, you want to make sure that things are nice and secure. And then you can always, if this is too short, you can always just insert the end of your darning needle into where you need it. If you don't have enough room to like stick the beginning, the front of it, you can just stick in the end, get your yarn on that darning needle and pull it through. And cut the end. Make sure you don't cut your flower. All right, so I have a long tail on this one, so let's attach this one again. Okay, so I'm never putting a flower directly over another flower. I'm putting it in the next sort of space here. So here's my next space right here. So if you're ever confused, you can look at the flower that you just added and know that you're not putting it over the next flower, you're putting it in the next sort of spot here that it's going to fit right in. And it might seem like it's too far away, but we're going to connect it. So again, I just insert my hook. This is where it ends, and I'm going to insert my darning needle right into that petal. And I'm going to pull it through because we're working on the back. And I'm going to grab my flower that it's next to, and I'm going to connect it with the petal that's directly across from it. So just connect that a couple times. Again, you're not doing it too tight or too loose. So connect that a couple times, make sure it looks okay. And then we're going to insert our darning needle into the flower petal and bring it back out the center again. We're going to go into the very next petal, and we're going to connect it to the very next petal that's sticking out here from the previous row. And we're just sewing in the tips of these flowers together. Again, we don't want to distort the flowers, so we're just gently sewing together the tips of the flowers together. And then we're inserting our hook. So we're coming out into the same flower that we're attaching. Okay, so for this next one, I'm going to be attaching this petal into the row before. So it's always going to be where we're connecting 3 together. So now we're going to be connecting 4 petals together right there all together. So you're going to insert your hook into your petal. And you're just going to go in here and attach it. To the row underneath it. You're going to insert your hook, your darning needle, pull it back out. And then we're going to connect the next 2 petals together right here. So we're going to insert our darning needle into that petal and connect it with the tip of this petal. Let's make sure it looks nice. You're going to insert your hook to bring it out through that flower again. And so that flower is connected in 4 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's all we're going to do. And then you're just going to weave in your ends. So I just like to make a little knot first. And this is why we're leaving a long tail. And then we're just going to weave in our end underneath all those double crochets in that flower that we're attaching. And then we're going to cut our end. And that's another flower that is attached. So when we turn this over, we've attached 2 more flowers to this blanket. And then we're just going to keep going across over and over and over again with this blanket and attaching these flowers. And then on our next row, we're going to attach the flowers here as we go across. So the blanket is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I hope you love this tutorial. Again, these are not puff flowers, but they're popcorn flowers, and we're just attaching them going across as we go. I hope you enjoy this tutorial, and we will see you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye.